Hey, welcome back to Booklore Podcast, the podcast where we explore the literary universe one episode at a time. We're very happy that you're here, right, Rob?
Thrilled.
We are excited. We're pumped. We're ready. And so this episode, we are going to discuss, Rob, your book pick that you picked for you and I to read.
Mm-hmm.
And so what book was that?
The Midnight Library by Matt Haig.
By Matt Haig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've read this, right? Mm-hmm. So this wasn't your first time reading it?
Nope.
Okay. This is my first time. Was it your second time reading it?
Yeah.
Okay. Second time, my first time.
Yep.
So we are going to get into it, chat about it, but let's give a little synopsis.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's giving the synopsis?
You go
Me?
for it.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Okay. Well, it's a story about a girl named Nora.
Yep.
Who, trigger warnings in the book.
Yeah.
That there are difficult subjects, including suicide.
Yeah, depression, suicide ideation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you don't
just read with care,
or if you don't want to listen to this podcast,
we get it.
Jump now. But she does try to take her life, and that happens early, so that's not like spoiler. No. But what it does is it sends her into a place where she's able to experience all the possible variations of her life, and just a really interesting way of seeing how things play out for her and for all of her loved ones, based on what she says that she wants in a moment. So, and that all happens in this place called the Midnight Library. Yeah. Right?
Which is really cool.
Yeah. And so then there's just sort of this essence that if it becomes midnight, it's over.
Yeah. A la Cinderella. Right? That version of your life is over at midnight, and she goes back to the library. Right. Like she gets
I think it's more, isn't it like if the clock kind of runs out, that means she dies.
Was it? I don't remember that.
Anyways, there was a certain kind of like everything
stipulation.
Falling. Well, yeah. I mean, we don't need to get hung up there. But I just found it kind of an interesting idea, right? That there are a million ways your life can go, right? And the decisions that you make, what does that really mean? You know,
and I think what was interesting too for me is like when she kind of gets thrust into these different variations of her life can be, it also affects all the other people in her life. So it's not just her. Yeah. Right. And like a Groundhog Day situation where it's like, it's the only thing that's affecting her. It's her, like, and everything else stays the same. But literally everything changes. I thought that was interesting to see. Well, how does this person end up? And then how does that person end up? And then what happened to them? And right. All that stuff. Yeah, for sure. That was really interesting.
Because some of the decisions that she makes in the story.
Yeah. Affect other people.
But she makes them based on what happens to people. Right. Yeah. So like in this life, I experienced this. Well, I don't want a life where that happens.
Yeah.
And I also found it pretty interesting how she was the one responsible for describing the life that she wanted to go live, which she found very difficult. Right. So, and like the character in the library, the librarian, who is based off of, one of her teachers.
Yeah, when she was
younger.
Her
piano teacher, was it?
No, the librarian.
It was a librarian.
The librarian,
right.
When she was in elementary school.
She was a piano teacher. Mrs. Elm.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, but she would just kind of like always so nonchalant, being like, "You just have to decide. Yeah. What do you want? Tell me what you want."
Yeah.
Right. And so she would say things like, "Well, I want to be successful in glaciology."
Right.
Right. Or something. I wish I'd stayed in that path, or I wish I was I wish I stayed in swimming. What would happen with that? And just all the different paths.
Yeah. And she has to explore what would happen if she did.
And then into different, like I'd like a life where I was happy.
Yeah.
I'd like a life where
she's very unhappy.
Yeah.
She's very unhappy in her life. Yeah.
And I mean, for me, I just think that it ended up talking about a lot of things that we think without expressing it to other people. I think in our lives, there's often times we just ask these questions like, what if I did this?
What if I didn't do this?
Yeah.
Or what if I made the wrong decision?
Or what does life look like when you're just content? Right?
Yeah.
Or what does life without ADHD look like?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of relatable aspects of this book for sure. And like you said, this is like universal, like human experience, I think, in the Midnight Library of like, the what ifs and is there something greater? What happens when this happens? Like those are, like you said, questions that we ask
for sure
ourselves, and maybe not out loud to like one another, but in your own self, in your own mind.
For sure.
You ask these things.
And then what I like about this exploration, though, is that I think in our own minds, we have delusions of the grass is greener.
Yep.
Like if I had just stayed in hockey when I was in kindergarten, I probably had a shot at the NHL.
You could take the cup home. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Or what if I had just gone to that tryout? Or what if I had just, actually put in the effort to write that when I had it? Or all those different things. We make the assumption that everything would be just perfect.
Yeah. Or that was like the biggest missed opportunity and your life is now over because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right?
There's no way.
But we do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that this book actually does a good job of showing.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with that.
Like, it doesn't mean that life still isn't life.
Yeah. And even if you do get the life that you really, really want, that isn't without pain or struggle.
And a cost.
Or a cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah. So,
what made you read this book? Because did you read this in the pandemic?
I think so. I actually listened to it on Audible.
Okay. You listened.
I did.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, this is embarrassing. Go
on.
But a lot of times I'm intrigued by covers and titles.
Oh, 100%.
So The Midnight Library I thought was a beautiful title.
Yeah. They say never judge a book by its cover. I do that all the time.
Oh, me too.
I'm a judger.
Oh, for sure.
I'm a judger.
If they have the ability to create a quality cover with a beautiful title, then my assumption goes, well, maybe perhaps they put that same quality in their writing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So no, I
committed
just
to the bit. Yeah.
And then I read the synopsis and thought, oh, this is really intriguing.
Yeah.
And I kind of like esoteric, I guess, spiritual, fanciful type books, right? And this was kind of like in the realm of both literary. I got journalism in my head, right? Come on, what's the word?
Fiction?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And magical, there's like magical realism.
Yeah, so it's like got this
too.
both.
Yeah.
Which
that very literally, yeah.
That intrigued me.
Litfic and magical realism, 100%.
Yeah.
I went in very blind to this book.
You sure did.
I sure did.
And a little grumpy.
I didn't really... We'll get to that with my rating system.
I know.
Well, I went in blind. I didn't really know what to expect. I did think interesting cover.
Yeah.
And interesting title. And this was really popular on like Book Talk and like Bookstagram.
And it was mixed though.
Very mixed. So I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't want to read too much into it. And I didn't read any other reviews or anything like that because I wanted to go in blind. But I was excited when you picked this book. So I was like, oh yes, I want to read this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so should we get into our ratings?
Okay, well, how do we want to do that? Do we want to talk about the characters?
Sure.
Right?
So we're gonna rate all these things and then give our overall rating.
Sure. Yeah, let's give the overall rating in a smidge.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think let's just start with the characters. Did you like Nora?
I did. I felt for her.
Yeah.
I think I was rooting for her. Mm-hmm. Like I just wanted her to succeed. Mm-hmm. I wanted her to find happiness within herself.
Yeah.
And not her situation.
Yeah.
And so I was rooting for her the whole time she was in the library. Like believe
for sure.
in yourself.
Like, I think your heart breaks for her in the first chapters.
Yeah.
And it's kind of honestly the way he wrote that, the way he did sort of a countdown, was just so ominous. And you're just going, oh man, no, this ain't good. Like you don't do countdowns unless you hit.
The chapter titles were like countdowns.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
sad.
Who did you hate?
Yeah. I hated. Who did I hate?
I'll tell you who I hated.
Yeah, who did you hate?
Dan. That was like the ex-husband.
Yeah, or
ex-boyfriend, right? Yeah, and they were supposed to start
that guy too.
Start a pub together, but like
he is a
loser. I know, right?
Yeah.
Like
he was just like
as soon as I mentioned the pub, you're like, oh yeah,
because I remember that scene. He's just so self-centered, so unaware of his actions and how they make Nora feel.
Oh, he doesn't care.
He doesn't care, but he's also not self-aware at all because, like you said, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Yeah. I did not like him at all.
I'm fully convinced he did start a pub just so he could drink.
Yeah.
Right?
Because what a loser.
No.
Yeah.
Anyways, and he never had any kind of concern for her.
Never. And any different variations of her life because he popped up more than once.
Yeah, more than once for sure.
And he was always trash.
Yeah, and hyper negative towards her or for her in her life.
Yeah, and she gave up a lot for him in one of these variations. Like,
just interesting.
She gave up like a dream. She gave up what she really wanted because she wanted to be there for him, and he just couldn't do that. And so
No.
let this be a lesson.
Yeah.
Let's be a lesson. Listeners,
Yes.
you don't do that for no man who would not do that for you.
Well, so there's a key to that, I think.
What's the key? Tell me.
The key is when you run into a guy like that,
Yeah.
what is probably going to happen 98% of the time, 99% of the time. When you run into somebody who's narcissistic, charming, even he was idealistic, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, like
for sure.
So has things going, but he's a douche.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that we can change those people. And there's a beautiful, wonderful story arc where people go from, a hot mess.
Horrible to amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just in reality.
Yeah.
That will probably bear in a person's life far more frustration and self-doubt and
unhappiness.
Oh yeah. So like
you see the classic case with Nora.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I mean, she escaped it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just playing that off of you saying, right? Like everybody out there, if you see that, like run from it.
Yeah. I think
that's
kettle black.
Well, but I think it's easier said than done, and
100%.
I think it takes a lot of strength and courage to just say, you know what, I value myself like significantly more than having to sort of babysit you.
Yeah.
Not to say my wife doesn't have to babysit me every once in a while. I'm a handful.
I'm a handful. Yeah, didn't like Dan's. I agree with that 100%.
Right.
Who did you love? Is there a character that you really loved?
Yeah, it's Mrs. Elm.
Why do we have the same answers?
I don't know.
Why are we so alike?
I don't know. Maybe
because maybe it's like the most like basic answer. Not basic,
it
but
is.
like
so
of
I
course
really
you love
like
this
Nora.
character.
I didn't love Hugo.
Yeah.
So Hugo was just other sort
Hugo
of
just
traveler.
Like confuses me. Yeah, Hugo is the guy who will never settle down. He's like a nomad. It's like he's happy. So Hugo, you see, he's also in his own variation of the Midnight Library. Yeah. Like he's still jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping to all these variations of life and not settling. And I don't
know if his character was needed.
It was for some of the variations for Nora because Nora was like her confident self in one of those instances, and she needed that win. Like,
but I think it could have been written
to like feel desired, and
I think that could have been written in with any number of ways, and you didn't need another traveler because, like, to me that actually just brings in a bit of confusion to the whole world.
Yeah, but maybe Matt wrote him in to like show us what happens when we're never like settled.
Yeah, no,
right?
I can buy into that.
It
just throws me off a bit of the like. The story, the lore, the build.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Like, how is he and her thing? Because like it's her root life. Like, how I don't understand that crossover. Yeah. So I struggled a bit there, but it's also really like you can suspend
these like two fellow travelers.
Yeah.
Can like cross.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, very interesting.
I don't get the sort of.
I think they could have
logic
went more
behind it.
Into like.
An explanation
of that, like what
they probably did,
means.
And I do have ADHD, so I might have zoned out for that part.
Yeah.
That does happen.
3 chapters gone.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Like, I'm not going back to read those again.
Yeah. That's so funny. I agree. I loved Miss Elm. You know what?
What do you love about her?
I'm a sucker for a librarian in any in any work.
You could have written her anyway. Just give her the title librarian.
Film, book, TV shows. If you're a librarian, I instantly just like want your job. I think you're so cool. I think she was a rock for Nora. Because there was a traumatic experience that Nora went through, and it was Miss Elm that was like there with her. So perhaps trauma bonded, maybe. Yeah. But she was really a rock and a guiding light for her, and that's what Nora needed. And she just seems like just the sweetest lady. Like I just want to give her a hug.
I know.
And be like, can I bake you something?
And like, I feel like everybody needs one of those in their life at some point. Like outside of your immediate family, the ones that are required to love you by law, just to have those people that are there. Yeah. Just because of the kind of people they are. Yeah. Like I love that. She was just a good person.
Yeah. In every form, like in every variation.
And then when she was like the librarian in Midnight Library, I love that she was just like, this is how it is. Yeah. Like just no nonsense. Just like.
And Nora needed that.
Yeah. Like just sorry, get over it.
Yeah.
Pick better.
Do better, Nora. Do better. Yeah.
So I did like that.
Yeah.
So what were your struggles with the book?
My struggles with the book, I wish it went a little bit more in depth emotionally.
Okay.
I feel like it wasn't that it wasn't not deep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that because it was deep. I wish we went even deeper with the emotion. It felt a little bit surface levelly to me. And at some point it kind of turned into not a self-help book, but a nonfiction.
Almost preachy?
Like, I wouldn't even say preachy, but it kind of turned to nonfiction for a second, where it was like a little self-helpy. So it's like, yes, and you can do this, and this is why
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so I wouldn't say preachy because that's strong for me. Yeah. So I just wish it went a little bit deeper. Sometimes it felt a little surface, and like, oh, yeah, like
I'd say maybe for the content, or for the context.
Yeah.
What it's actually dealing with and the depth of what it's dealing with. Yeah. I can agree with you that maybe it needed more. Mm-hmm. Like I think of, and nobody will know what I'm talking about probably. There was a movie called What Dreams May Come.
Okay.
And
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's
old.
It's older. It's Robin Williams.
I'm too young for that.
But it deals with his wife and like.
This is sad.
All I'm going to say about that
sad.
story is that in that movie they do this exceedingly excellent job of showing her grief in it.
What was that movie called again?
It was called What Dreams May Come. Robin Williams. I don't think it's
what year was that?
I don't know. I don't memorize the year. Okay, I'm going to say 1990. I'm going to say 94.
Oh yeah, I was 1, so that's why I've never heard of that movie.
Have you ever heard of Casablanca?
Yes.
You weren't born when that came.
But that's because it's like an iconic.
Have you heard of Psycho?
1998?
Yeah. Oh, was it 98? Oh,
okay,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not on the same level, but your age has nothing to do with whether you heard of the movie or not.
I say it is. And I say, too young.
Anyways.
But that sounds like a good movie. I'm going to next week put on my list.
All I know is that it really dealt with the depths of a person's, like, sort of the tragedy in their lives.
Yeah, and that's what I wish for the Midnight Library. I wish it just went a little bit. But I sometimes like sad lit.
Yeah, for sure.
I like sad stuff.
Oh, I agree.
And I don't think this was meant to be like...
I love a sad song.
Yeah, like I don't know if this wasn't meant to be just like a sad, so sad book. But yeah, I just wish it went a little bit... I want a little deeper.
And I think you're right that something was lost in that. Like there's some kind of opportunity that maybe ought to have been even like a little more.
Yeah.
You know?
And I felt like the end was a little bit rushed.
Oh, I don't know that I felt that. Because I felt like the ending was happening that whole time with her long relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like it was winding up and you were just like being built into what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that everybody always knew where it was going to go.
Yeah, for sure. And so maybe because I knew where it was going and I saw it was coming, it felt anticlimactic. That's a better way to describe it. I wish it went a little bit deeper and it left me wanting more and it felt a little bit anticlimactic.
Interesting. Yeah. And
that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll give you that.
Yeah. What about him as a writer? Do you enjoy his writing? That hesitation.
No, it's not that. Like, so there are a ton of writers who do the job that they need to do for me to enjoy the book, and nothing stands out to me as them as being spectacular. Right?
Yeah, they're just
so
good.
Like with Delia.
Yeah, Delia.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Poor lady. I keep butchering her name.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Who knows?
Nobody. You're probably not.
Probably not. I am probably.
Okay.
Right.
Anyways, Crawdads, that stood out. Like I remember physically going, oh,
yeah,
like there's something with this woman's writing.
Yeah.
So I would have never thought of that with him.
Yeah.
So he didn't blow me out of the water, but he also didn't have annoying fixations in areas that drew me out of the story.
Yes.
Right. Which there are authors that do that to me, even if their stories are good.
Brilliant. Yeah.
They can take me out with their writing.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that.
I agree.
My question for you though actually goes to, because I know that you don't necessarily, I wouldn't say you have a struggle with this, but I think that you're more cognizant and you care very deeply about this topic. How do you feel like he wrote a woman?
Oh, interesting. Yes, because he's a male author. And I don't read a lot of male authors. Not for like, ew, you're a man, I'm not reading your work.
The truth is, I think that mostly the best authors right now are women.
And the most popular, and there's more,
especially in romanticism.
Women, yeah, there's more women authors, I think, than men, maybe in the genres I read.
For sure, and there's more than 50% are women.
Yeah,
of authors.
Okay, interesting. Good question. I didn't think anything of it,
and I think that's a good thing.
I didn't think he'd like, oh, how dare he like portray her as like this weak women or this damsel or
you
whatever,
probably like,
right?
if you didn't notice him doing something so out of character, like you went like that. What?
Yeah, no,
you know?
I didn't notice. Yeah, nothing.
So I think that's good. I think that's a good sign, like that he did something right.
Maybe that has something to do with the level of depth, though. Like I like her experience as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So like she talks about how she's even unhappy in her like physical, like with how she looks and how she is. And I feel like that could have been taken deeper, but maybe for a man it's difficult for him to write a woman in that way.
Maybe.
In the depth of that.
Yep.
So that could have a part to play. I didn't think of that till you just asked me.
No. And that's all good stuff to think about.
Yeah.
I just think that it's probably a good thing, and probably in the same realm as me, where his portrayal of a woman didn't take you out of the story.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right? Because there'd probably there would be times where different male authors might write and you go,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For sure.
But I mean, we don't want to write only what we know. or I would only have white bald characters in anything I ever wrote. I don't actually know what it's like to be an ogre or a boogeyman or a swamp monster or a golem named Gek, but I did write all 4 of those characters.
Or be in love with this like NFL football star.
Well, I didn't write that.
I wouldn't know that.
Are you writing a book on being in love with an NFL?
No, but I did read a book about an NFL star and a girl. So.
Yeah.
You know, I like Travis Kelce if you would.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to get into our ratings?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because we talked about kind of what we like, what we didn't like a little bit.
So give me your rating out of 5 stars. So 5 being immaculate vibes.
Yeah, and
perfect all around. 1 being I will not recommend this. I did not like it. Will not read again.
And 3 is good, right?
Yeah.
4 is excellent.
Yeah.
5 is like
immaculate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it, because it's good. I think it's good. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
4 stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fair. I think it's excellent. Yes.
Don't get so hung up.
I know, but I do. I'm going to go home and think about my rating.
Yeah, like, I've changed my mind.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, so out of 5, I'm going to give this 3 stars.
Good.
Yeah, good. It was a good book.
Yeah.
There was nothing inherently wrong with this book. I just wish it went deeper. If it did, I would have given it 4 stars.
Well, did you get bored?
No. I didn't really get... I did a little bit, actually. Slightly. But I thought that the plot was at a good pace. Like, I wasn't bored with the plot pace. I was bored of let's get to the library.
You know, I actually wonder if it would have been different too, though, if I read it and didn't listen to it.
Did you read it the first time or audio it the first time?
I've only audioed it, right? And I actually really liked the narrator. Here's the thing about I don't think I could handle a male narrator for most books. Honestly,
really?
Because a female narrator can do a man's voice really well, and I actually can't imagine a male doing a good female voice.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy for a woman to do a type of man's voice anyways, right?
Right.
But a guy doing how do I do a female's voice?
Yeah, that would be very difficult.
Right? It would just sound contrived.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how you would feel reading the physical book.
Yeah, so I wasn't bored in that sense.
Yeah, that's good. And there's nothing... It wasn't boring. Like, this book isn't boring.
No, but you said there was parts where you
There's parts where I was just like, we can get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved the premise. I think it was my hang up would be probably in the realm of maybe some of the lore. Like, I don't fully grasp
the lore of the library.
Yeah, and like the Hugo thing and like all of that.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, it could literally be just her experience of death. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, totally.
So, but I think it was like worth reading.
I agree. I would still recommend 3 stars. I
don't know that I recommend a 3-star book, actually.
I do, depending on I only gave it 3-star because it just lacked depth.
Yeah.
But if
I'm just
I was going to recommend this to my friend or my sister and I knew they would enjoy it, I would recommend it. Yeah.
Well,
you wouldn't recommend a 3-star ever.
I think if I'm giving it 3 stars, I probably
So you only recommend 4 and 5 stars.
For me, I think, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I would only recommend. I don't want somebody. I'm gonna be like, go waste your time on something that's pretty good.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a waste of time, even though I give it 3 stars.
Yeah. So
we know not for you because you get 4 stars, but even if I gave it 3, I feel like it's still not waste my time. Like
I even think that there's books that I can rate higher than 3 that I wouldn't recommend.
Okay.
And we'll talk about some of those.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. Okay, before we finish our episode, if you could make a soundtrack to this.
Oh gosh.
To this
well, that's a
book,
good question.
What song would you put on this soundtrack? What do you think?
Oh, I don't know if I know we talked about this before, and I don't know if I said this for a different one, but like
you didn't.
Moonlight Sonata?
Yeah, you didn't.
Not for this one. Did I say it for a different movie?
No, you said it for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moonlight Sonata?
By
Beethoven.
Beethoven.
Come on.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No, I think that it's just like.
Yeah, I could see that. That's a good pick.
You?
I would pick a song by the band Sleeping at Last called Saturn.
Can you sing it for us, please? Nobody knows that song.
I cannot. But there is like an kind of classical instrumental,
oh, neat.
like
yeah, okay.
An orchestra, not classical, an orchestra in it, but also singing. And the words talk about how like rare and beautiful it is to exist. And I feel like that's what Nora learned in this book, is that it's like beautiful and rare to exist right here and now.
You know, I think also like if I were to pick one that had words, maybe like Somewhere Only We Know.
Oh yeah,
right?
Like Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kane? Yeah.
Keen or Kane?
Keen. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that song reminds me of Grey's Anatomy?
Of course it does. I think it was on there.
I can't hear that and I only think of Grey's Anatomy or Glee. Because Glee did a great cover of that song.
I don't think Glee did anything good ever.
They did some great covers. Watch it. They did some great covers. The show does not hold up.
I am so not
highly inappropriate.
What do you rate that out of 5 stars? Glee.
What? Glee?
Yeah.
2.
Okay,
because it does not hold up.
You're still telling me to go watch it.
No, I didn't say go watch it. Some of the covers they do phenomenally. Like that one, Somewhere Only We Know, was a great cover. Anyways, so I would pick Saturn by Sleeping at Last.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll
link it on the we'll link those songs on Instagram.
Well, it's Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. I mean.
Well, just in case someone doesn't know.
Okay.
That's a very old song.
Well, it's Beethoven.
Very old.
So yes.
Can you imagine at that time going through a breakup and listening to that song?
Beethoven? Moonlight Sonata?
Yeah. I would cry.
You would have to be at his concert in order to hear it.
Yeah, but imagine like you're going through the pits of hell and you go and you're like listening to that and you're like, I would just weep.
Like they didn't have,
streaming Spotify. I'm not saying
they didn't even have LPs.
I'm just saying back then, imagine if you were going through the toughest time of your life
like if
and you just were at a Beethoven concert.
And you're in Bridgerton and they're doing some rendition of Moonlight Sonata at the party.
Bridgerton. I'm ready for season 4. That's completely off this topic.
Lost me on season 3. Anyways, whole other.
Maybe I'll make you read the Bridgerton books.
Oh gosh, no.
No, they're not very good.
I didn't even really like the shows that much. So
they're not very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Anyways, that's it for the Midnight Library. I gave 3 out of 5 stars. You gave it how many?
4.
4. Those are our final rankings. We want to know what your rankings are. So if you've read this, hop over to our Instagram page.
I never have a final
Booklore
ranking.
Podcast. Yeah, you're gonna go home and change your mind, but as of right now, what you're listening to, that's what it is. But let us know on Instagram. We're gonna have stories up. Tell us what you rated this if you read it.
Yeah.
If you haven't, it's on your list now, which I think it should be. I still think it should be.
Yeah.
Even though you don't think I should offer up.
You do whatever you got to do.
Well, whatever.
If you want to throw out your 3 stars as something somebody else should read,
I think you should read it. I think it was fun.
Yeah.
And we just want to remind you to join us on the Fable app because we are in our last stretch of reading The Third Wife of Faraday House.
Super into it.
Booklore Reader Society on the Fable app. That's it. We'll see you next episode. See ya.
Bye.